Their Radio, Season 3. We got a very special episode today. Got a few of people I've interviewed, people new to the show. Y'all can introduce yourselves, who you are, what y'all do.
What up? My name is Sonidero from San Jose, California. I produce. I also have a record label called Discos Pyramide. I'm also part of Kumbia Net. And we're here.
Yes, sir. Hellotones, el Hijo de PueblaYork, back in LA, all the way from New York City, PueblaYork, the Bronx to be exact. DJ, promoter, curator, all types. I'd wear every hat I need to bring that good cumbia in PueblaYork and come out here and do it here as well.
What's happening? I'm Gary Ganas, artist, DJ, collector, and also run a label called Discos Rolas.
Cool. Thank y'all. Y'all came from Dublab. How did that go?
It was cool. We did a Cinco de Mayo special edition. Dublab at Ganas his show is Dublab. What is it called?
Mas Exitos con Ganas.
Mas Exitos con Ganas, and we did a show where we focused on Cumbia Poblana, and Hellotones did a set of Cumbia from New York. PueblaYork, to be exact.
Yeah, just played some Poblano classics for me, and then also just put my little PueblaYork twist on it.
You had Los Daddies in there or what?
You know, I didn't get around to it, but they're a staple in every set. So for sure, I like the question. Not in this one, but yeah.
Ganas, you started. It's your show, right? It was your show that you invited them through.
My show started Mas Exitos quite a while ago, and started off as a DJ night with Chico Sonido, DJ Lengua, Jose, and Enorbito, and from there it's just spun into my radio show on Dublab as well, and we focus on Chicano, Mexican, Central South American, and Caribbean rhythms, mostly vinyl, but there's also cassette and CDs, and obviously digital and live performances happening there as well.
Right on. Yeah, because every time y'all come through, y'all always do like a Dublab. It's like when y'all come through the Dublab. When y'all go over there, y'all go through the Lot Radio, right? So it's like kind of like an exchange of platforms, right? That y'all like to do.
Absolutely not. We definitely and funny enough, where I'm centered between these two gentlemen here and all the work that we've gotten to do together, we have built bridges across these coasts in a very special way. And like you said, when we're over here, Gary, Xandão, also from Discos Rolas, will invite us on to their shows on Dublab, make space for us, invite us, and always particularly fun doing their shows because of the archival nature of it and the history that we get to get into, and really breaking down our selections. It's not, you see how I do it on the Lot Radio. I have fun. I'm mixing up. The energy is there, but it's not anything that I get to elaborate on in the moment. So I really enjoy being able to do Ganas' show and then sit down right after and break down what I just played and why I played it. And also, I wanted to say earlier, all the different formats that you had mentioned were you doing on the show, that CD mixer you were playing on was insane. That was like some cabaña shit right there.
Wait, what was it? What was it like?
It's like a vintage Gemini CDJ thing, but without the controller, so they just more function like old school CD players without the old Sonidero controller to it. Because they got CDJs, but the new CDJs don't feed CDs, unfortunately.
Just J's.
Just J's now.
Yeah, that's crazy. But you Turbo and Hellotones, y'all been having a run since Friday. Since Friday, y'all been throwing shows, right? Or even before that?
Me personally, I've been on a lovely run. Really, I feel like it started a week ago, but Thursday night I did one of my biggest events to date out there. It was a lovely event put on by 1800 Tequila. They wanted that good cumbia for their event. They knew who to call. They knew who to holla at. And it was really special. The first time my mom got to see me spin live. And I made sure it was the most family-friendly, but also the most really just, it was on the Hudson River. It was on one of the piers. It was incredible.
What did she tell you? After your performance, did she give you any? Did she tell you anything? Did y'all?
Oh, absolutely not. We had a really, really special moment. She was just, because the thing is my mom, bless her heart, she's been supporting me since day one with music. And the second I was like, yo, this is I feel like I'm finding my rhythm here, and this is what I want to do. she's always rode for me, and so she's always been asking me to come to things. But as we work at nightlife too, so she be getting ratchet. So it's not always the thing where I can be like, "Mama, ven," like come like this. But this was the one where I was like, it was all pretty and dressed up and beautiful, and the scale of it, and I was like, I wanted to show her, this is what I've been working hard to get to this level, so that I can go and I can play whatever the hell kind of cumbias I want.
What about y'all? Did y'all ever have that experience with your parents, kind of them come through a show or like anything similar to that?
My parents definitely would come to a lot of my parties when I used to do parties out in San Jose. I had this party called Sonido Clash, and my parents would come out and dance and all that. But for a while they were kind of like, oh, why don't you do something else, But I think they've come to terms. We just had an event at the Hammer. Hellotones was there. Ganas, Ganas had like a showing of his art, and my parents saw everything that was going on. They were really proud,
Yeah.
Especially my dad. My dad, he's always been super negative, but after that, like now he's like, he's more supportive. He even made me like this chain right here.
Oh shit,
that's beautiful. What does
Yeah,
it
it's
say?
this turbo.
Oh,
so
yo, and I remember you saying that your parents are
from Amosok. So Amosok, they do a lot of silver stuff, especially spurs. So when he went to this last time when he went to Amosok, he got this made for me, this bracelet.
Oh shit, and he gave it to you at that premiere?
No, he gave it to me before, but he was just like, it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like him giving me this is just like, yeah, I'm proud of you. Like I accept what you do.
Yo, it's funny because sometimes like parents don't always like have like the words or like don't know how to, express it in different ways.
Absolutely, especially Poblanos.
Poblano
man.
parents.
Poblanos, man.
Poblanos are the worst.
Oh man, it's tough. It's tough. It's just the thing is also like them coming from where they come from. At least I'm gonna speak from my own experience. My folks come from really, really tiny pueblos. Like the fact that what I do is so digital, and it's the idea that it's kind of off. It's not the same as the type of hard labors that they're used to earning their money with and things like that. Sometimes there's a little bit of. How do I word this? Like, it's just I feel like it's an extreme difference in the types of works, but I'm like I finally am showing them like, yo, I do this. I can take care of myself doing this. I'm commanding respect, and I'm asking for what I'm worth, and I'm getting there.
Yeah. What about you, Ganas? You ever had that experience of like?
Yeah, man. My mom's really supportive. I feel like, she's an artist in her own right. Never got the opportunity to be an artist. But my mom's always been super supportive. Had no choice. Single mother. I guess you have a choice to bounce, right? But she never did. She always rides with me and super dope. A lot of times we collaborate on work. And
right on.
She does full finishing, so sometimes I have her come in and help me with some sculptures or doing some stuff. So, yeah, we got a cool relationship like that. We listen to music. She goes, to certain events as well, certain ones you invite them to. Speaking of Sonido Clash, went there with my mom and my wife, and feel like that was one of my daughter's very first concerts, which was amazing. We got to see Alberto Pedraza out there, and played that night. Egyptian Lover was on
Oh, wow.
What year
there.
was
Rosa
that?
Pistola was a pretty lit one.
2018, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yo, I remember hearing about Sonido Clash because I was going to college in the Bay.
Oh,
So I
okay.
remember in the Bay 2016, 17, 18, I think up to 19
Yeah.
is when like Sonido Clash was like bumping, right?
Yeah.
That was the time, right? That was a run.
Yeah, it was cool, but once COVID happened, definitely put the brakes on that, and I'm kind of happy because doing events and promoting it's tough, man. It's really tough.
Talk about it, brother. Talk about it. They just see the clips, they see the recaps, they see the flyer. They don't see the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into coming up with an idea, the names, the feel, the look, the lineup, solidifying your
Definitely.
peoples, building your team, all of that, man. It's so much work. And that's why this shit is dope that we do it coast to coast now, because we have a healthy fucking resume now of work that we've done together. Even to go back to the question about, our parents and making them proud and things is like, I'm always so grateful for the West Coast and these two guys in particular because grand performances. That's the biggest crowd I've ever played to. That was some legendary shit. It's on YouTube. My parents watch that. They can see that. They can like those. And then also the Hammer Museum. Me being somebody who been following Turbo's work from early, then Cumbia Obscura, Kumbia Net, seeing Kumbia Net get a spotlight like that. And that was all like team efforts and everything that Ganas was already doing for the programming for that entire art show and how we just tied it all together. And they asked me to play the after party in the museum, in the gallery, in your installation. Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And shout out to Alvaro. We debuted his film Kumbia Net, which documents Kumbia Nets and its happenings and whatnot. So big shout out to Alvaro, Sonido Metropolis. Look for his new record.
Yeah. Speaking of, I kind of want to go back to this idea of like building movements, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. When I think of Turbo, I think of Kumbia Net. When I think of Tones, I think of Like That Records as well, right? And when I think of Ganas, I think of Discos Rolas. So all of these are kind of all movements coming together. But what would you say is the root of all of these movements? Like how did y'all? I want to say what are the ingredients to it, but I know there's more to it, right? So I want to ask y'all like what's the starting point for all of this?
Man, I think one being Mexicano, being raza. Second, for me, the Chicano movement. You know what I mean? Like what popped off in the late 60s and 70s. I feel like a lot of that energy stuck with my family and my peeps. And, you know, there's certain politics of that I'm into and certain parts that I'm not into. But anyhow, this kind of like do-it-yourself, bigging people up, not being pushed down, you know what I mean? Standing up. At least for me, I feel like that's where a lot of this comes from.
Yeah, personally, I agree with Ganas. You know, being from San Jose and you know having I guess strong Chicano roots also. Definitely was influenced and I remember taking Chicano classes in college and people talking about how you know there was these you know a lot of college students kind of reconnecting with their raíces, you know, their roots. So personally, me when I started producing cumbia, I kind of was thinking about that and thinking about how like I would try to get booked in spots and people would kind of like they didn't understand what I was trying to do, you know. And sometimes I would get booked for like a lot of rock en español events, and it was always, you know, I would always play and then like the band would start playing, like doing sound check while I was playing, and super disrespectful.
Hey, what's a band? Yeah. What's a band?
The worst was one time they put me in the kitchen and I had a DJ from the kitchen. But you know, back then it was like I wanted to do it, you know, and I wanted to play wherever. I didn't care like how much I was getting paid. But then it got to a point where it's like, instead of like complaining or whatnot, it's like I need to. You know, make something happen. So that's when we started Sonido Clash with like-minded people from San Jose. Fernando, freaking Tommy, definitely Mixtape. Yeah, so we started Sonido Clash, you know, to be able to make our own scene, you know. And I always knew that cumbia was gonna come around and it was gonna be something where it wasn't just niche, you know, and it wasn't just being played in a certain spot. Like I always knew that it could reach a bigger crowd, and it could be something that would be respected also, you know, because I feel back then, like looking at cumbia like 20 years ago, people would look down on it, kind of be like, always like make jokes out of it or make it be like es música de nacos, you know. Yeah. And I was like, I always thought that it was like a dope culture that was just as good as a culture that's like a full culture like hip hop, you know. People always like think about hip hop or like reggae, you know. And cumbia has all of that. It has the art, the dancing, the history, the roots, and people would always look at it like just not being culture at all, you know. Kind of just
Yeah, no, it's crazy to think about.
I want to jump in on that. I was gonna say first, amen, brother. That's the answer right there, and I think that goes to highlight just the lineage that we share of care and innovation for what we do. Is like we respect our history, we learn and educate ourselves as much as we can. We're nerds in this shit. We fucking, and me particularly in the digital spaces, like I always grew up on the hip hop blogs, being a little, pulling my music from there. And once Kumbia started coming back into my adult life within the last 10, 12 years, it's just a plethora of YouTube and SoundCloud rabbit holes. And I remember all the early Cumbiamberos Internacionales compilations that Turbo was a part of and putting together, taking me to places with all this and exposing me to the cumbia remix culture, and me having that context with hip hop, with electronic music and things like that, like really tapping in. But then also back to the innovation part of it, where it's just like we want to highlight the weirder shit, or the things that the newer stuff, the more experimental stuff. And I think that's the lineage across the three of us here, that we share that all in our work, and we have all laid groundwork for one another, I feel like, and really fucking built something to be able to say, like you said, you demanding the respect that all of it deserves, and the way that we want to do it, the way we can salute the traditional format always, but we're always also looking for the pioneers, for the risk takers, for someone who's gonna do it funky, who's gonna do something crazy with it.
Yeah, most definitely. You know what? Recently, I've been hearing a lot of that. I don't know if y'all been hearing that those cumbias bélicas that are popping on TikTok. Have y'all heard it? It's like Yair Saldivar and like all of that.
I'm not too tapped in, I'll be honest.
Yeah, me neither. I feel
What about it? Can you explain it to us?
Yeah. Well, you know, like now,
Tell
like
me the name again.
cumbias bélicas, that's what they're calling
Bélicas?
it. Yeah, bélicas. Because you know, like right now, the wave of like what's like, yeah, the wave is like what is it, like corridos, but also like what's like Natanel
Corridos,
Cano,
tambao,
and all of that. You know what
yeah.
I mean? So now what's happening is like you're getting somebody like a Yair Saldivar coming out of Matamoros, right? He's coming out of Matamoros, but he's having this twist of like Rigo Tobar, but making it bélica, right? Which is like, what is it, like
Okay.
cartel?
Modernized.
Yeah. But like that's the thing about cumbia, right? It molds with its time.
Yeah,
Right?
it becomes it's always innovating, it's always changing. I mean, the last something similar is in Argentina, the Cumbias 420. Yeah, they got that. But yeah, the Bélicas, I mean, I never get on TikTok. So I'm kind of tapped out from that. But
Yeah, man. I mean, that's because I wanted to ask y'all about that, because like we see cumbia not only as a changing music genre, but also it's very regional, right? And that's
Yeah,
what I know.
definitely.
Like Tones and I were talking about in the last interview. It's very regional, and I think that's something that is now more than anything, it's being highlighted through the cumbias mélicas that are coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would like to check it out. But definitely, I mean, like I was saying, regional, you know, like to me, like what I focus is on Cumbia Sonidera from Mexico City and Cumbia Sonidera from Puebla, you know, so that's where I'm focused in. But yeah, I would like to see what other places, you know, what other states of Mexico are doing, you know.
Yeah, because like Matamoros, what is it, like Rigo Tobar, right?
Yeah.
He's the one that put Matamoros and Cumbia
Yeah.
up to where it's at. It sounds like that, but then you got he covers Minnie Riperton, like you know that her most famous song, what's it called? But the Minnie Riperton.
I know what you're talking about, the high voice.
Yeah.
Forgetting
So
the name of the track, but so he covers that in cumbia.
he does. He plays it. He
And
takes
is it
that
band
flow.
or
It's
is
that
it
flow.
digitally produced, or is it a full-on band?
You know what? I'm not sure about that.
Cool.
I'm not sure about that. But he takes that flow, makes it bélica, and then you just see him out. That's the thing too about it. You see him performing, and he's performing like in the streets, and you see all the kids coming to him. It's like grassroots. At least the scene. He recently signed with Dell Records, and you know Dell Records has a huge history here in LA with like, you know, with like all the música that's popping out. But yeah, y'all should definitely check it out. Let me know what y'all think.
yeah.
I definitely
Okay.
want to know.
No, but
Yeah.
it's interesting with cumbia right now and talking about regions. I think that we're in a really interesting moment, like where I feel like a lot of people were trying to maybe not show where they're from or where their family's from, and they're trying to have this general cumbia sound or like a cumbia sonidera sound or like just Colombia. But I feel like everybody's repping, whether it's a big city, small town, big state, small state. I feel like people are taking a lot of pride in the nuances that make that pueblo, that town, that barrio, what it is, you know, where I feel like before people were not so into sharing those details, or maybe they felt they wouldn't be well received. And I feel like now those are the more driving forces of the sound and how it's changing and how people are accepting, like, you know, what's in their hood.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Speaking of LA, man, y'all came in at an interesting time right now. Like with all like right now, LA hip hop is on the people right here. The talks of LA is like LA hip hop is down bad with whatever. But you know we're having that whole not Draco. We're having that whole like Kendrick and Drake going back and forth.
Kendrick hopping on a mustard beat, by the way, which was absolutely insane. That was, and that is one of my homies actually, electronic DJ out in New York City, and Blue played it at a party last night that he did in New York City, and the clip was going viral because they're like, somebody put on the Kendrick diss record on in the club because the new one is hot, dude. That mustard beat is crazy. And I was gonna say too, I'm tapped in, I follow their radio, I follow your work as well, and I saw you out at Rolling Loud doing interviews with the artists in the hellotones tee, which by the way, thank you. But then I also see you was rocking your Theo's because your Theo's Sonidero, he got the jacket and everything.
Yep. That's that's what it is. I grew up with Sonidero, and like Sonidero around LA, like South Central, here, East LA, all of it. That's how I know LA. You know? Yeah. I grew up in Montebello and East LA, but really you don't get to see the city unless it's music that's driving, and it's safe. You know what I mean? Because like there's so much that happens around the city, good or bad. But I think Cumbias allowed me to explore the city, see the city, live the city in a way that nothing else. And my dad's also a taquero, so there's that too. There's like all of that. You know what I mean?
You're tapped in.
Yeah, but yeah, man, I had to take it. I was like hellotones. Cash Cobain. I was like Cash Cobain, New York. I had to see who was down to hear about it, but. I told Cash Cobain's team, I was like, man, y'all gotta tap in. hellotones is popping it out there in New York.
That's so real, man. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
But even the reason I bring it up too is just because the crossover, like, is the hip hop cumbia shit. It's all music love. It shares a lineage there, and like we're living hybrids of that. I especially feel that for me at my age and the way that I approach cumbia, and there's a lot of intent for me to open it up to other music heads. I want to get the hip hop heads to be fucking with the cumbia because there's so much foundation that can be shared there, and we can just push the bounds out. Earlier when I was doing the Dub Lab show, I played my cousin's Sonidero Blues. He did a cumbia flip of 4 Bats' Day to Day.
Oh yeah, that went crazy.
Dude, every time I play that out in New York City, I played it out at the huge event I did over for 1800 Tequila on Thursday at the Pier. People came up to me asking me to play it again. Because they're like, they don't, and it's people who didn't know cumbia, but they know 4 Bats and they're hearing it in this weird, different, abstract way. And what I love about it is it's not no run of the mill. Let's just put the drums over it. Easy peasy remixes. Like there was a lot of intent that my cousin put forth. Sonidero Blues, he got like the Los Teles style drums on it. He found it and matched the tempo. He got the melody cooking really, really nice there and pulled the right parts. And that's the shit that I'm about. I want to build those. I want to open it up to people who like all of that, and it excites them and it piques their interest, and they go and they spend more time with cumbia.
Yeah. No, speaking of that crossover of like cumbia and hip hop, and I saw you were at a Stone's Throw earlier this week, right?
Yeah,
How was that?
That was tight. I've been there before with Ganas. We actually got Grupo Hijo and Lowrider Kumbias mastered by Jake, who is the audio engineer. He also built the studio, right?
Yeah, he's an audio engineer, Jake Viator. Shout out to you. And he literally built that studio, all the measurements, all the angles, chopped the wood, put it up, got all the equipment in there. So yeah, he's the mastermind of Stone's Throw recording studio.
Yeah, and this Stone's Throw is Peanut Butter Wolf. He's also from San Jose.
San Jose,
yeah. So, it was special. I got to meet Omid, who he's a producer from LA. He used to produce a lot for Project Blowed. Wow. He did Beneath the Surface, which is a legendary underground hip hop album from LA, which to me it influenced me big time, like producing. I remember listening to that like in 97 and 98. and it just like blew my head, like when I
Yeah.
first heard it. And yeah, so it was dope to meet him and chat.
Yeah, I heard you also talk about you said Freestyle Fellowship.
Yeah, Freestyle Fellowship, definitely.
Man, also, what's the name of the other one? The other group. You know what?
From where?
From LA, like around the same scene. Project Blowed.
Project Blowed, Freestyle Fellowship, Tumex, of Mexican descent. Yeah,
sure.
dope. Yeah, there's a lot of hip hop.
But another thing I heard was that y'all toured Europe together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's early, man. That's early. That was October 2021, which was even the first time I touched down on the West Coast. I got invited out here by my homie Liano, incredible DJ and producer, electronic music as well. And this is when I was doing more club shit, like DJing a lot of Jersey club as well. And I came out here. I did like nothing crazy. I think it was just the homies pop up. They had me spin, but it was my first time in LA. The homies brought me out. Tapped in with Turbo and Mixtape. They're like, yo, come up to San Ho. You're already on the West Coast. We're getting ready to go do a few shows in Europe. Come join us if you're interested. Like a really again open invitation. I'd never met these fools in real life, or we only connected online. And who was I to say no? I was young, hungry. I was just getting comfortable DJing for real. And I mean, look where we are this many years later from building that foundation.
Damn, I can't believe it's 2021.
2021, I know.
That's
I
crazy.
know, dude. That's where we're a good three years removed now.
That is crazy.
And the cool shit about that, my favorite thing is just even this weekend, the last two shows I did this weekend with Mixtape on the mic, grand performances with Mixtape on the mic back in August. Before that, it was only Spain that we had done that together. We have that chemistry and that synergy and that energy, and we've never rehearsed to do that once.
How did y'all first connect online before even meeting in person, or how did y'all first hear about each other?
For us, was Mixtape was the glue, because I think this must have been around when Turbo's Killer Kumbias dropped, or maybe like a year after, so like 2015, 2016. I came across his stuff online, and my brain melted, because I had grown up around Cumbia. I'm this little hip hop nerd, fucking hearing him flip Tommy Wright the Third, hearing him flip these hardcore samples, hit little samples from Nuck If You Buck, all of those ideas, and really doing something with it. Like I said, not no lazy, just take it, slap the cumbia drums on it. I mean, real abstract concepts happening with these pieces. And it was a huge inspiration for me to even want to start messing around with cumbias, mixing them up all weird, doing a different approach with it. And at the time, I had just started working with Like That Records too, and I wasn't even DJing. I was around. I was learning. I was helping a lot on the back end. I was uploading mixes to SoundCloud. I was typing out track lists, and I remember when the first two singles from Grupo Jejeje's project dropped. I got those off the Discos Rolas Bandcamp. I passed them to my DJ homies, because we were doing a monthly series where we were just mixing up everything. It was primarily club and hip hop together, but the Grupo Jeje stuff made sense. We were at the same time. The tempos were there. It made sense. I was like, yo, mix this up in there. My homie Marvelito, master DJ, super fire, super nice, fucking gorgeous mix. Uploaded it, typed out the track list. I'm putting the hashtags, #Grupo Jeje, #Turbo Sonidero. Little did I know that Mixtape is monitoring the hashtags. So Mixtape was following the Turbo Sonidero hashtag. So on his feed, the mix pops up. And from what he's told me and from what Turbo's told me, the rest of the story goes, he's like, yo, Turbo, look at what these cats on the East Coast are doing with your shit. And, they shared it. They showed love. They supported. Turbo followed me. Mixtape followed me. And, I'm so lucky and so blessed, because these are dudes who, like, the first thing was a thank you, and the second thing was, how else can we help you? You need any tracks? You need anything? I remember A&Ring a remix for my label. We have one of our co-founders, and the three of us who run it, myself, Ace Manuel, and Marvelito. Ace Manuel, prolific club music producer, Jersey club legend.
Also trending at the moment.
Also going up on TikTok, bro. And old shit. Some of the shit that he did on under a different name too is starting to fucking move, dude. Yeah. Funny enough, I forget the exact track that's going viral right now. That had been sampled by Cash Cobain. a few years back.
Believe it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, nuts. But I'm diverting a little bit. So back to the thing. So this is when I'm really starting to get involved with like that. I'm learning how to DJ. Ace releases in 2018 a project called Lumi. We had a handful of tracks on those, do a lot of movement. One of those ended up on HBO series. The other one ended up on Beyonce's Ivy Park campaign. He wants to do he decides to do a remix release, but instead of the traditional like let's do like a deluxe and every song on there has a remix, he just take one song off of it and get 6 different producers to do their own version of it. So 6 remixes of one track. And he was like, yo, Tones, anybody you have in mind that you think would want to? And we had already started the conversations with me and Turbo, and I was like, yo, what if we did like Cumbia remix? I think that would be kind of crazy.
Yep.
And that's the Touch Turbo Sonidero remix that's out now. It's been out for years, and that's very, very near and dear to my heart because that was me bridging those 2 worlds for me in such a special way. People are just finding that now. Whenever Turbo's in town and Touch is down, I get him and Ace in the studio, and we have some crazy club music, cumbia, hybrid type of record. I don't even know how to describe them. It's like the music of the future. And to be able to take that from people who I really look up to creatively, who have looked out for me, and who also are just prolific artists in their own right, and to be able to move those chess pieces. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the music that's being made now. Especially the super, like, I know it's not anything that I would immediately play right now because I don't think ears are ready for it. But I'm getting ready for people to get ready for that kind of shit.
Yeah. Turbo, when you first about hellotones, what was your first reaction? What'd you say? What'd you think?
Well, yeah, I was
honest,
like,
bro, please. Be honest.
no. I mean, I've always said that New York was gonna be like the pretty much like the mecca of new cumbia, you know, or whatever you want to call what's going on, this renaissance. You know,
a renaissance for sure.
Because like out here in the West Coast, I mean, we have a lot of poblanos, but especially like in San Jose, you know, that there's not a lot of poblanos, and I feel like a lot of the parties, or like a lot of I felt like the youngsters were not really like tapped into the sonidero culture out here. Like, well, if you go to sonideros, it's usually older people.
Yeah.
From my experience, you know, I don't know how it is now.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a sonidero like in 3 years now.
I mean, now we got places like the one y'all played, like at Ambiente Central and like Mas Exitos, right? But
yeah, but I mean, I feel like New York is like real. Like people, like when I was out there, like people like really know how to dance, you know, and they're young and they know their shit out there. Like they know what they're listening to. Like I feel like here in the West Coast, like a lot of cumbia parties, for a while it was always like, we're going to play cumbia, but we're going to play the same records, you know. We're going to play Selena, and we're going to play Sonora Dinamita. And I'm not trying to bash on Selena, you know, but it was just different. But I always felt like, you know, New York was going to be like the future, you know. And I knew it, you know. And when I heard the mix that hellotones had done, and I was like, it's happening, you know.
damn.
And then when I went over there and
last year.
Yeah, and hellotones invited me to his party, and I was like,
that was
damn.
a year ago. Yeah, that was for Cumbia Net when we did that party almost a year ago to the date.
I was gonna say May 5th.
Yeah, I've never seen so many young people like that actually know how to dance, and they're vibing to every single track, and they're playing like deep cuts, you know. It's not.
And to the way that we were doing it too, because
Yeah.
we don't do like, yo, it's all love and salute and the utmost respect to the sonideros, to the baile world, to all of that. But our shit is very different, and it that party in particular a year ago was such a, like, I felt like, okay, this is what I had been trying to cook up in my city. I've been trying to get this. I had been, because you know, on that party I had brought out Mextape and Turbo Sonidero, and I had my good homie and another phenomenal DJ and producer, Shadow Records, who has a long history in the city. He used to be out in Chinantla, Puebla, running his own CD shop, running it up out there in the bailes and performances, and you know, came back to New York, and again, somebody who a lot of the early music that I was spinning, I got from a USB that I had bought in his shop in like 2016. So
The USB.
oh, it's always all full circle for me. I'm like, I let me put all the pieces in the pot of all the things that help shape hellotones, and let me put that on as well, and let's see what happens. And it really did bring those worlds together, because you get like the baile heads in there, and they, you know, some of them maybe do at first, they want their saludo, they don't understand that we don't necessarily do it in that same vein.
Yeah.
But you do it enough times, people will respect it, and they'll be like, all right, y'all don't be doing the shout outs like in the traditional form, but y'all be turning it up and having a good time and playing the music in a new way. And my point of pride for me especially is from the younger kids who come out, you know, the chamaquitos, even the, like, obviously our shit, nightlife, 21 and over, they don't be that young, but the youngest that you can get there, they're like, yo, y'all play shit we never heard before. You play things in a way that I haven't heard. Especially even my style of DJing, I'm like remixing live. I'm doing heavy blends on top of each other. Sometimes I'll go as long as I can, a minute long if I have to, you know, and just creating it into a new experience and believing in that innovation when nobody was trying to hear it. Yeah.
When nobody was trying to hear it.
For so long, I wasn't as good as I am now, obviously, but I was always approaching it in the same way. And I was like, you know, because apart from the baile world too, in New York, they definitely have a nice cumbia vinyl scene, collectors, they do their party, but also it'd be a little bit on a calmer tip. It doesn't necessarily make sense for the type of energy that my mixing commands. And so it was just, I just never really, and I don't blame people. We all have to build our own shit. Like, it wasn't a lot of hands extended to me, and the hands that were extended to me early on were from out here. It was Turbo, it was Discos Rolas, it was like, and that's why I'm always so fucking proud for, and dude, it feels like I blinked and I got here.
Yeah.
Like, we had been, that was just a year ago, and I'm in a we're all in a very, very different place with what we do now.
That's crazy.
Where we're in the institutions, a lot of the bigger things are starting to take notice. The crowds are getting bigger. The crowds are getting more diversified. The crowds, they don't look like your traditional concept of what cumbia could do 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's an entirely different playing field now.
Yeah. I want to ask you, Ganas, because you have a whole record label. Discos Rolas, you put out music. You are not only like putting out physical things, but you're also like, you know, building like an institution for people to be a part of, and also like platforming people and giving them this new like step into like even like having a physical copy of what they create. But how did that start for you? How did you know that was something that you wanted to do or that thought was necessary?
Man, I think it goes to loving music for one. You know, I have 11 uncles and my tia and my sister who are all music lovers. You know, my grandmother played a 12-string guitar. She didn't know how to read music. Now, I don't even know how she learned how to play that damn guitar. I've tried to play guitar. That shit's difficult. But, you know, I think it kind of starts there. And by having so many musical influences, with the family being that large, I got to hear everything from corridos to cumbia to classic rock to punk rock to hip hop to high energy, freestyle. All the shit that I got into, you know, seeing this Crass record here, that's my favorite Crass record. You know, I was into crust stuff, I was into punk stuff, whether it was old or current, you know, I was that cat that was at Los Crudos shows and so forth and so on. So first off, it starts with a love of music. Being in a single parent family, you know, lana, feria is not there, right? And being somebody who loved music and wanted music in my possession, it was hard to get to. So first off, I started like using cassette tape decks and basically stealing my sister's tapes, recording like, you know, taking a cassette tape from one of the homies' parents, Phil Collins, put tape on that, record what I wanted on that tape, you know, from my sister's collection, put it backwards, and she's like, why you in my shit? Like, whip my ass, you know, she's 5 years older than me, so... And so I always wanted music. I needed music. I was a cat that slept to music. You know what I mean? Like, at night, I would go to sleep listening to music. And then I was young, right? So I couldn't cop stuff. And then this is at that era where, like, CDs popped up, you know, and CDs were mad expensive when they started. Now we think of CDs as, like, a cheap format, right? Back then, CDs were like $25 to $30. You know what I mean? And if you wanted new stuff, it was only on that format. So like you had to do it or something another, right? And so for me, you know, being that, you know, we were struggling, we were always at the thrift stores. And since I knew a lot of music from all my family and all that, I'm like, damn, that's a John Coltrane record right there at the Segunda for 25 cents. Oh, that's Bob Marley right there, blah, blah, blah. It was a way that I can have my own physical copy of something, right? So that's how my record collection started. And I think just by getting used to that and having these things and having large album covers, information, physical things, lend it to a homie. The homie lends you a different record from somewhere else or a different tape or a different CD, so forth and so on, right? Anyhow, just falling in love with the format, physical culture. You know, I'm an artist, so I'm very influenced by visual things as well. And we got to, you know, 10 years ago or something, and I don't know, it seems like everything disappeared. Books stopped getting made, albums stopped getting made, everything turns into a file, everything turns into an MP3, your computer dies, somebody jacks your laptop, you get a virus, yada yada, and then everything you acquired is gone. You know, I don't like this idea of buying things that don't even exist, right? Renting things, streaming, or like subscriptions to stuff really bothers me, you know what I mean? And they have their good aspects too, you know, it's not totally bad, but it's not my jam. And so, yeah, the idea with Discos Rolas is like, let's bring physical culture back, you know what I mean? Like a record in your hand with some liner notes, with some artwork. And we even take it a step further. Let's not jack people's artwork. Let's not interpret their logos and basically steal them and reinterpret them. You know, with Grupo Jejeje, we searched out Jaime Ruelas, who's the originator of High Energy and Cumbia logos, who I would say is the jefe, you know, he's the main master. And so instead of trying to reinterpret that, because we could easily do that, and it also costs less money. But the idea is to share community, to break bread, put tortillas on the OG's tables, you know what I mean? And then also share that great community culture, history with other people, you know what I mean? And so I think it was wanting to do that, to answer your question, that made us do a label. Shout out to Xandão, who's also half of Discos Rolas, and she's an anthropologist. Being that I have a radio show, you know, I like the idea of archiving. I consider my record collection an archive as opposed to a record collection, and yeah, it just kind of jumped off on that. She understood a lot of these things. We talked about, you know, we had interesting conversations, being that she's a cultural anthropologist. And yeah, man, it's going back to material culture. Like when you die and you can inherit something from one of your family members or something, like to me, those kind of things and objects are important to just life. You know what I mean? For me personally.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. You brought up Grupo Jeje. We brought up Cinco de Mayo. It's been 5 years since that release of Grupo Jeje, right? And y'all had Sonido Dueñas that day, and since then he's passed, right?
Oh no, he's still alive.
Oh, he's still alive. Sorry, my fault.
That's all good. He had some medical complications.
Oh, okay, cool.
He can't really play no more.
But that's 5 years ago. How does that feel, man? How do you reflect back on that, or how do you keep that in mind?
Yeah, it's crazy to see how Cumbia has changed in those 5 years. Or like, and I mean, it's wild, you know. Like, I remember when we got in contact with Dueñas, and was like, you know, the possibility of bringing them, and it was just like, I felt like I was in a dream, you know. And I never thought it would happen. And then after we invited him to come play, after that he started getting invited to go to Mexico City and Puebla, and then at the same time the movie Ya No Estoy Aquí happened.
Yeah.
And now you have like this big old explosion of Cumbia Rebajada in Mexico. Even in Puebla, like I'll see people do events of cumbia rebajada, you know, and it's interesting. And then I'll see people trying to dance like Monterrey style, you know, where 5 years ago that wasn't the case, and a lot of people would actually make fun of like the styles, you know. And and the same thing with the Grupo Hair record, you know. We Arrabalero and me, we worked on those tracks like in 2012, and a lot of those tracks were from that time, and we kind of had them there. And I feel like at the time, like we wanted to put them out, but I was like, I don't want to put them out on SoundCloud. I feel like they're just gonna get lost, you know. And at the time, the I guess the cumbia scene was different, and I felt like it just wasn't, you know, people were just gonna look over it. I thought they were really special, and I think when Discos Rolas, you know, they decided to put it out. After that, it's created like a bunch of other scenes. You know, I see a lot of people now like even try to do like, we're gonna do a cumbia dark, you know, party, or we're gonna
dark.
Yeah, I mean, just biting off from like the cumbia oscura, you know, and all that, and or see people, you know, trying to use aliens, or, you know, kind of like that the aesthetic. Even Ruelas, you know, like a lot of people are like hiring them to do their record covers now, you know.
Oh wow.
And
wait, I want to go back to that point. Do y'all feel like there's ever been a point where y'all feel like somebody's biting your style or something like that?
You know what? It's inevitable. It's an unfortunate downside of being innovators and being forward thinkers is you do the hard work, and there's always going to be somebody who tries to copy the homework. But the thing is they might be able to copy a little bit of it, but they'll never understand the formula to get the answer. So it's just one of those things where I feel like, because I've seen it happen to me in New York especially. Yo,
damn.
It's going to sound bold, but I'm going to say it is like, yo, before what I was doing in my city with my events, Cumbia was really strictly reserved for the bailes. You couldn't really go hear it outside of that. And I changed the format. I put it next to different genres, electronic genres, and then I went a lot more all cumbia focused, but it was always cumbias mezcladas. It's people like me, Sonidero Blues, DJ Chihuahua, my homie Mills, El Negro Mezclador, like all the homies who we be mixing up our cumbias in a style that's focused on the music and not so much the saludos and the ambiente sonidero per se, but the energy is there. And now all types of cumbia party here, cumbia party that, this and the third. And again, like, you know, I be walking in a spot sometimes just by chance, and I hear someone trying to mix cumbia the way that I do and play with the filter the way that I do. It's a double-edged sword. One, it's a confirmation, like, yo, you're doing something so new that people want to try it themselves, and they want to, and that's a good thing. You want someone to be, there has to be legacy in this shit. If it stops at me and my style, then who the fuck else is gonna remember, and where's the art gonna grow from there? It's all about planting seeds. The shit's gonna blossom and it's gonna take on its own life. But I always just trust that as much as the universe can allow, the real is gonna rise to the top, and all the other watered down shit is gonna be forgotten. And those people are gonna burn out, because the people who do lazily lean on taking your ideas or taking your concepts and different sort of aesthetic aspects of it, they might be good at copying it or making it look like that on the outside, but then you go to the event and people will realize, real trained seasoned will realize, oh, this is just a watered down version of that, or this is just the bullshit of that, or this doesn't compare to what I experience going to hellotones shit, going to a Club Cumbia or a Prendelo PueblaYork party. Like, I'll always stand by my work and let my work speak for itself before I have to point out anybody and be like, nah, that shit is whack. This is like, that shit is gonna happen regardless. It happens, and it's not particular to this art form. So I just remind myself and center that. But it's also, there's a sense of responsibility that I feel in trying my best to always have that quality present, because cumbia is very young in the worlds that we're exposing it to, or the worlds that it's the way that the bubble has popped. And I'm speaking for me more specifically in New York, is like the way that the bubble has popped. I can tell when people are just riding the wave and they could give two fucks about cumbia, and if it wasn't cumbia, it would have been corridos 2-3 years ago, or it would have been reggaeton 10 years ago. Like, you're just looking for that next thing, and that's not gonna get you anywhere. You're not gonna have any real impact. For me, I'm like, that's why I end up having to wear all those hats and be my own promoter and curate my own events and all of that, because whenever I've given it the chance to leave it up to other people or get booked for other things, I always find myself kind of having like a bittersweet moment where it's nice that people want to hear it now when nobody was trying to hear it, but I also don't really like the shit that they're putting me next to, because I don't think it has the same level of care and nuance and history and understanding, and I just feel like I'd be doing my homework more than most over there.
Yeah. I do think it could be kind of flattering. It could be like, yeah, I'm influencing people or whatnot, you know. And again, going back to the Grupo Eje release, if you look at before Grupo Eje, there wasn't a release like that, you know. And now there's a lot of releases that are getting released like that on the same style, you know. And it's dope because it's like I think it's like it's creating like a culture and in a separate world from the Sonidero scene, you know. But at the same time, it does get kind of annoying sometimes when you put somebody onto something, and then they take it like they created it, you know. That's fine. I mean, you know, like I always feel like as a producer, more of as an artist, you know, I use Kumbia as kind of like my medium to create this art, you know. So I'm always innovating. I'm always like changing, you know. The sound that I had 5 years ago, I don't have that sound. I have a different sound, you know. It's always changing, and it's fine, you know. People could do things that I did 5 years ago, but it's all good, you know.
They certainly try, bro. They certainly try. You see it and hearing it all the time. And it's okay. The reel is gonna fucking rise, and the rest of the shit, it will not have its impact, and people. And that's no disrespect to it. Like, as long as you're really creating from a genuine place of care, you're gonna get there. Keep going, but find your sauce. Find your sauce. Do your homework. Get the fucking basics down and the fundamentals. But bring something new to this. Bring something of yourself to this, because otherwise you're just taking up space and the room is too loud, and you gotta really like that's where we're more careful about things. I'll say personally too is like, I won't call anything out by name. I won't ever say, hey, don't go to that, go to this. Not. It's all gonna be fine, but my obligation is, all right, I'm a plan my shit. I like to know what I like to be on, how I like it to look, to feel, to be. And then when I'm out here on the West Coast, thankfully, you know, a lot of the work that I do with Discos Rolas, with Turbo and Mixtape and everything is like, there's trust there. I know I don't have to. That's not any. I know them. We share that lineage that we were talking about earlier. So I'll happily be a part of that.
You know, since last time I had y'all both here separately at separate times, you know, y'all have been getting covered by like different platforms, and like, you know, like the New Yorker, which you've been covered by, but like the New York Times, you know, like, do all of these, like, getting like these platforms and being on these platforms, does that, like, do y'all see a shift happen when things like that happen for your music, or is there no shift and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter?
For me personally, the New York Times article, absolutely a lot of different grander opportunities came knocking because of it. It doesn't mean that it's all. I mean, a lot of it sounds good on paper.
Yeah.
You still have to weed through a lot of it, and this is what I'm talking about with like the care for it that I was talking about earlier. And I'm grateful. I'm like, even this last event I did, I'm sure being on a sponsored event of that scale, having New York Times on my CV, on my resume, having that is a beautiful thing that helps me get to those places. But I'm always make sure that I play what I want. It'll never be to scale it up and then I have to water my music selection down or make it palatable or make it safe. I always knew I'm gonna use this to my advantage in the healthiest and most responsible way to put on for what I want to hear. I feel like there's like I'm shaping years with what I do, and I'm getting a little bit further away from the question, but to answer your question, it has definitely been night and day for me in my city. The types of recognition that I get, but it also, you know, it comes with a lot of hate too.
I was about to say.
Like, I'm fortunate that article, you know, the writer behind that article, shout out to Vita. She found me on SoundCloud, dude. She found my mixes on SoundCloud maybe like a year and a half before that. She'd been interviewing me over that time, and then the piece landed at the Times, and it meant so much more that it wasn't somebody who found me when things were going really well. Like, it was somebody who saw and heard what I was doing with it was really abstract and new, and then followed it, and then it lined up where she was able to like serve it up in a way where it's definitely a career defining moment for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Turbo?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to answer that, I guess. I mean, I've gotten I've been featured like in New York. Whatchamacallit, the New Yorker,
Vogue,
different magazines, and I mean, I guess I can't really. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because when I think of also like all these platforms, like highlighting y'all and everything, I think that's what it kind of goes to the idea that y'all were mentioning before of like, it brings that space for like people to come and like, take it and dilute it. That's why I kind of also wanted to bring that question, if that's what comes with these platforms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
for sure it'll put you in positions where like people will expect that of you. And a lot of times, like I said, it comes with the hate too. I've caught wind that there's a handful of Sonideros in New York City who didn't take kindly to me having that kind of spotlight when they did so much for the city. And you know what? I can empathize with that. I'm not even mad that they feel that way. It makes sense, but also it's like I was never chasing that. I wasn't doing this to get a New York Times article.
Yeah.
But I understood that having my story stamped and cemented in a publication in news of that caliber, I was only gonna ever use that to do more of what I wanted at a grander scale, and elevate the whole thing by extension.
Yeah, most definitely. Speaking of that trust, building that trust on who like does this, going back to the movie of that premiered at the Hammer, it was with Alvaro, right?
Yeah.
And y'all build that trust, and that recording happened over years, right? I remember he posted that a few years ago. He was looking for people that had like family with sonideros and stuff like that. And I messaged him. He was looking for interns or something. And somehow that connection broke through. But that's crazy that this whole time it was working with you and creating that film. And it premiered at the Hammer. And hellotones, you were there. You were DJing that night as well. And I gave you a cap and I gave y'all a cap. But what do y'all remember about that night and bringing that together? And Discos Rolas, you were also showing your artwork that night, right? What do y'all remember about that night happening?
Yeah, I remember being nervous. I remember it was an amazing night. It was an amazing night, and it was celebrating Ganas' work. And we were lucky that he wanted to include Kumbia Net, the documentary, as part of his showing, And we got to play after. It was crazy just to be in that space and be able to play cumbia. Again, it's always been to me like trying to play cumbia in the craziest spaces.
Yep.
Because I'm telling you, like back in the days, people used to like laugh at me, kind of like, "Well, you're gonna play cumbia?" Or like even like people that I would date, that weren't a part of the scene or didn't know anything about cumbia. I would be like, why are you doing like hella Mexican music? Like what do you mean? Like, I don't know. It was funny, and people would always be like, oh, why are you playing that music? Well, you shouldn't play that music here, blah, blah, blah. So to me, it was always like it was kind of like, well, now I want to play music in the most like, at the Hammer where it's like this fancy ass museum, And to me, that's special.
I mean, the night was amazing, showing artwork and one, but two, sharing that same space with the other artists that I respect, that I love, and that I want to show other people, what they're doing as well. And Mas Exitos is invited to be part of Made in LA at the Hammer, and I didn't just want to make physical work that represented Mas Exitos, because Mas Exitos started as a collective and it still is a collective. People have, I don't want to say come and gone, because people have come and sometimes they step away for a moment, but I don't feel like anybody that's messed with Mas Exitos has gone or left. Like, there's still that camaraderie there. But the biggest thing that was like making me nervous is like, all right, Mas Exitos is part of this exhibition. How can I give people Mas Exitos that haven't been there, that don't know what that is? That is this a community kind of coming together, playing music, doing an event. And, you know, Mas Exitos really started in, like, it's kind of lame to use the word now because it's so tired and it's so much more real and it sucks. But, you know, Mas Exitos really started doing its thing. It started with art and graphics and music appreciation and all that. But when we started doing the event, Mas Exitos, it really started to the point of it was to de-gentrify sound in our hoods, because every space that we would go to listen to music or go do something, it was all changing and it was all becoming like, and big up to techno and house and yada yada. I mess with that and I love it. But like everything was becoming this new, and I don't even like to call them hipsters, because to be hipster, you got to be hip. These peeps ain't hip. Like, hip's a dope word. Hey, to be hip is to be hip, so I don't even like to call them hipsters. But the point being was, we did that to de-gentrify sound. But going back to what I was nervous about and what I wanted to do is show people what Mas Exitos was and how it functioned and how it got down, but within the museum space. And that's difficult because there's museum red tape. This is a very large group exhibition, the largest exhibition that the Hammer has every year. And you can submit ideas, don't mean they're going to take them, you know what I mean? And just anyhow, it all lined up, became really crazy. Hellotones, you know, Turbo told me Hellotones is going to be around. Like, let's run it, let's get it. Got to meet Chihuahua that night and got to meet Sonidero Blues. And it was just super dope to see friends, people, community, people we didn't know, people that might follow Rolas, people that might follow Mas Exitos only online, or people that see these cats on YouTube or whatever. Artist heads start popping up. But then to have all those different kind of people, curators, writers, music appreciators, makers, all that in one space was like super amazing within that installation. Shout out to the Sarimento family who helped me build that installation, who's also a big part of it. And just, man, to share with all these people and all those things, and you know what I mean, have my daughter see that stuff, and it's just like, it's a lot of teamwork, and it was a beautiful night.
I'll say for me, for that night, you know, talking about how the Grupo Jejeje project was so early on in my DJing days and some of my first mixes, and then those early Kumbia Net compilations, seeing that come together. I remember, because, you know, an earlier iteration of Cumbia Obscura and even Turbo's work with Cumbiamberos Internacionales before them, putting together these compilations, shaping them. When Turbo explained what he was trying to do with Kumbia Net, to know from a phone call me and him had where he was telling me his idea for Kumbia Net, to then being at the Hammer Museum, watching that documentary premiere and seeing everybody's story presented by Alvaro, who also on the Kumbia Net comps, Space Primo. It was so full circle, and it's, again, I feel like it's a testament to that first question you asked about, like, what is the unifying force there, and it's that shit is the care and the innovation for it. You get those massive opportunities to get into these institutions and get to that scale, and instead of playing it safe or going for the accessible stuff, you look out for all of us, you know? And like, even, grand performances, my biggest show to date, one that I will remember forever and cherish forever. It's like, that was a Discos Rolas event. They programmed that evening for the final grand performance, which, if I'm remembering correctly, hearing right, one of the most historic ones. That turnout was like never before in 20 plus years of that series.
Yeah, man. I remember I was there for the moderation as well, and it was just like Josh Kuhn from Rockamole, right? Yeah. That's crazy. That's what that was crazy. I'm like, dude, that dude looks familiar. He's from Rockamole. But man, y'all done so much for the culture and for everything. So thank y'all. But My last question to y'all is, well, first of all, I do want to ask, do y'all have anything planned to working together, like any projects together, like Turbo and Hello Tones?
Oh, I mean, for sure. There's always, like I was mentioning earlier, I be on my A&R shit. I be putting people in the rooms together. I do take a lot of pride in that, and we've gotten to get my good homie and the prolific club producer Ace Manuel and Turbo cooking stuff up. Again, nothing that we have like super concrete plans for in this moment. It's still in the stages of creation. And again, me myself too. I'm definitely gearing up to expanding my artistry just beyond DJing. I won't say too much more than that, but I'm definitely ready to go down the music lane as well myself, and you will be hearing and seeing stuff from me before the end of this year for sure.
Oh,
and then it's all gonna take on a life of its own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want to say too much on it because I'm like, let me get it out of the way, let me get it done, and make sure it's out. I don't ever want to jinx anything but I already know the seeds that I've planted for myself. And also just all the inspiration from all of the people that I'm around and all the music I play. It will make sense what you end up hearing from me, knowing what I DJ and how my selections and the things that inspire me and the kind of sounds and the particular eras that I'm going to be pulling from and doing my shit on. But the crossover is from here on out. I mean, you're gonna see us on parties together, events together. The scales are only gonna get bigger. It's only gonna be rare shit. We're gonna get into, like you said, more abstract places, weirder places where it's untraditional. We're kicking in doors and we're bringing cumbia.
Okay, there's one thing you said, which is ears aren't ready for what's coming, right? Or you said something about like
to the effect of like I don't think ears are tuned to that in this moment.
Okay.
And that's what I was saying earlier about like taking that responsibility of playing what I want to fine tune ears to get there.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm gonna win them over. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying is like I gotta just keep going and keep playing. And I know I'm gonna get there because it was years ago where this point in my career is what I was dreaming of, and I'm here. And I put in all the work to get there, and I had a lot of help, and that help is still around me, and we all putting in work, and the shit is just growing.
Hey man, well, I mean, last question I have for you is like, what song is stuck in your head at the moment? What's the song that's like really, you have on repeat?
Any song or cumbia in particular?
Any song. No, any song.
I have it, and I forgot the name of it. It's this cat out of Virginia, Tommy Richmond. Is that his name?
Tommy Richmond, yeah.
What is that song that he just put out?
$1 Million Baby?
That song is absolutely unfucking believable. My boy struck gold on that. I haven't been following his career, but I know he's been putting in work for years. Yep. And that song is, and it, bro, bass boosted, crunchy. Like just how I like my cumbia. So there's a little bit, there's the similarities there, but also like, I used to spin a lot of fucking hip hop trap. I was deep in the SoundCloud fucking trenches for hip hop too. Yeah. They don't even know, bro. I threw the first Baby Sosa show in New York.
No, we know. We saw the first radio. Man. But you're even getting covered by like fucking like Nobels, and that's like a hip hop kind of focused underground kind of vibe, right?
Yeah, man. Fucking, and that shit's incredible because it's again more full circle shit. Where I grew up reading blogs, reading on forums, music publications online, and to see that that's coming back too.
Yep.
Albeit under unfortunate circumstances, just because the state of music journalism is in shambles and media is a fucking.
Oh my god.
I pray for all my writers, but there are still people who are fucking boots on the ground, ears to the street, fucking going to all the shows, capturing the shit, writing about it, being really bold in their opinions too. Sometimes excuse me. Sometimes it's not what people want to hear or read particularly, but the fact that there's a platform someone's gonna be like, this is how I feel about this right now, and there's care and nuance to it. It's dope.
Yeah, for sure.
So we got off, but that was
Tommy
my song.
Richmond.
That's my
Tommy
song.
Richmond, $1 Million Baby. Yeah, y'all heard of it? Have y'all heard of it, Turbo? No. Yeah, man.
I need to listen to more music, to be honest. I've been kind of I feel like the last 2-3 years, I've been disconnected from a lot of things, and
it happens.
I've been definitely been working a lot of on my music, and just focusing on that, Okay. So it's kind of weird, now when I'm in my car, like I just want to listen to like talk radio or like
Nice.
podcasts.
Nice.
You
I
know,
just want to listen to their radio.
I just want to
over
listen
Big.
to stuff on YouTube, like
Yeah.
freaking
You do need the palate cleanser for the year.
For real, for
sometimes.
sure,
I'm-
for sure.
yeah, like so yeah, I'll be listening to that, but and sometimes I'll be like exploring music from the '90s, you know, especially right now. I've been there's this playlist that I found which is they call it Dream House.
Dream House.
So it's just house music with pads and
Oh,
you know,
okay.
and it's been listening to a lot of that, and yeah, it's I feel like
Any song in particular?
I can't, you know
Oh,
how
yeah.
YouTube is, you know, you play
Yeah.
it and it just I save the tracks that I like, and then you know I'll revisit them. But yeah, I've been working on my album that's gonna be on Discos Rolas.
A new one.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah!
And this one's gonna be like, I would say, like my legit first album, because Lowrider Kumbias, that was more of a collection of tracks that I made since like 2011, and it was just a collection of you know, these edits that I did with you know, Lowrider tracks.
Wait, yo, by the way, I forgot to mention. I was watching a radio interview in Mexico, and they had these cats from Monterrey on, and they were shouting the fuck out of Lowrider Kumbias in you.
Yeah,
They were playing it for that dude. I forget what the radio show.
El
I think it was
Vampiro.
El Vampiro podcast. That's what it
Yeah.
was. It was sick, dude. I just caught it off chance. I didn't even know they was gonna mention you or Discos Rolas or Lowrider Kumbias. Fucking holding up the record and shit, telling him.
Hell yeah.
They were the dude who was interviewing them. He didn't even really know too much about Kumbia other than, you know, the basics, and he wanted to learn more about it. And they were telling him, yo, everybody's kind of flipping their own way, got their own sauce, and they were bigging the fuck up out of Lowrider Kumbias, and that was really dope to see.
Yeah, hell yeah. But yeah. So it's just again, it's just me. Right now, I've just been producing a lot, so I have these tracks in my head that I'm always like thinking about them, and I mean, like how I want to transform them, but I need to put that stuff out, you know. But I feel like I don't want to go back to doing killer cumbias type sound. Like I want to keep on like I mean, I want. There's a lot of tracks that I have from that era that I would like to put out. I don't know, sometime in the near future. But this new sound that I have that I want to, you know, that's gonna be on Discos Rolas. I'm excited about that. And
This one's more intentional with the idea, where you said the previous one was like just a collection over time.
yeah, and
Okay.
this one's just like an album, and
Okay.
I'm excited, you know.
Could you tell us, like, what would you say is like a word that, or I don't know, something that you think you're keeping in mind while creating this?
I'm keep on thinking of dystopian future.
Okay.
With still playing on the idea of Cyber Aslan, you know.
Cyber Aslan.
So that's what I keep on thinking. And
Okay. Creating the soundtrack.
there we go.
Yeah.
I love that you say that too, because just because of how foundational that OG Grupo project is to that sound, with the cover, the feel, all of that. But then I also, you know, that release that Amantes del Futuro did on your label, Discos Pirámide, felt like he was playing with a lot of the same sounds and ideas, but the Amante style for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So I feel like not necessarily like a trilogy, but just like there's like a body of this you're carving out a really nice pocket of that dystopian feel, and it's like I'm really excited to hear this project.
Yeah,
That's the thing about music too. It's like it builds the world, right?
Yeah.
When we
It's
think
world building. Yep.
when we think of hellotones, we think of PueblaYork and the world that's being built around that. When we think of Sonidero, we think of that. Cyber Aslan, the world that's being built around that, right?
Yeah.
So it's just continuing to build that world, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Most definitely. Awesome. What about you? Ganas, what's the song that's replaying in your head?
There's a couple songs that have been playing for maybe a couple years, but what's playing in my head right now, I just opened Mas Exitos con Ganas on Dublab with it. I've been doing a lot of CD digging, and just recently I had a nice half a day, maybe like a 6-hour dig in Puebla, in Maldito Tepeyac, to be exact. Hadn't been there before. Really dope barrio. Didn't spend a lot of time there, but got exposed to it. and went digging with the daughter of Robin Revilla from Revilla Records and Discos El Papi, because they used to have a shop in Puebla that I had dug for CDs at before. And I just got a sick ass Jones and was trying to go back, but that store shut down during the pandemic. And anyhow, managed to get in touch with his daughter, who had all the merchandise that used to be in that store inside a room at her house. Anyhow, went digging through there. I'm not exaggerating. I feel like probably went through like I don't know what, 5,000 CDs or something.
You
like,
said CD digging? I was like, that's wild.
Yeah. Went through a lot of CDs, man, big ass boxes. And shout out to Enojo, Sebastian, who helped me with that dig. Because it literally was like, it wasn't a 2-person job. It was more like a 3-4 person job. And didn't even finish, didn't go through all the material there. But, you know, picking up boxes together, emptying them on a table, and then me running through them. Him stacking them back and putting them back. Anyhow, from that dig, I probably gone through, I don't know what, 13 CDs out of, I came home with 100 brand new CDs.
Oh, wow.
Left a gang there just because of time and price. But anyhow, I pulled out one CD from there. I pulled out many, but one that came up recently, unpackaged it, because, you know, it's hard. Tones and I were talking about that. It's hard to open a CD, or like, for some reason, it's even harder with the CD than a record. Like when it's sealed and it's old and it's dead stock, it's hard to open them damn things because you want to keep it in its pristine beauty. You know what I mean?
No, y'all are nerds for real, for real.
Yeah.
And anyhow, so those are slowly opening because you know there's gems behind there too. You know what I mean? So it's like, anyhow, open one up, and this CD is by Condor on the label Barba Azul. It's one of these like triple gatefold things that has a CD and a DVD in it. Anyhow, don't know who the track is by, but it's on there, and it's a cumbia cover of Moments in Love by the Art of Noise.
Oh, wow.
And you know, made 20 years ago or something like that, and I never heard it before. And it has some really nice rapping on it, but the rap is more like love raps or like love rhymes. You know what I mean? Maybe less raps.
LL Cool J stuff or what?
I mean, nah, way doper than that. But props to LL Cool J. Like, I Need Love is classic. You know what I mean? I won't diss that track. Everybody mess with that. But nah, way more innovative, new barrio, but still showing like amor and love and care and like, I don't know. It's just a sick-ass track.
The Cosas Bonitas flow. Sometimes it's really just like, it's just rapping, but it's real romantic. That record, you started the show today with it, and that is one of the sexiest cumbia records I've heard in a minute. Damn. And especially because like I love digging in that era in the late 90s, early 2000s. That has all that sauce, and I've never heard anything like that from that. Like, that's a gem you found there.
Yeah, man. And then, you know, the Art of Noise track, it's already a gem itself. And, you know, for me, one of the early records in my archive. And I love hearing it slowed. And then once I heard DJ Screw do that shit and chop it and screw it, it was like another thing. So in a way, I kind of like see and feel that relation with this and that. In not the way it sounds, but in the way it makes me feel. You know what I mean? Like, not only does that track sound good, what's really amazing me about it is the head and body feeling it gives me. The headspace and the body feeling, like it kind of takes over my own. It does what it wants to you, as opposed to you manipulating it to do how to make you feel how you want to feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then the way that you played it on the CD mixer. I mean, you had that same disc that you dug up from the story you just told us. I popped that right into the CD mixer.
Right. Which is a CD that was a CD player that was used when that CD came out that Sonideros were using in bailes, you know?
Yeah.
I got a question for you, though. I'm curious. You mentioned your tío, or your dad is the sonidero?
My tío.
And your tío's name is?
My tío's name is Sonido Chambacu. He was here, you know, what was it, like 2002 to 2000, maybe like 16 was the last time he was in the States. But he had a run.
He was living or just touring, coming through?
Living just here in the city. You know, we're working costura during the day, and then sonidos every weekend.
Would you go to the joints in
Oh,
Vernon,
man.
like the big parking lots in back of the swap meet?
Right there on Vernon. We would go also on right there across the street from the what is it called? The one that the Yoshinoya, you know, across the street from the Yoshinoya there. And then we also did. I know he would play at Salon Lázaros a lot. Yep, I remember. I forgot who came. Condor. I told you in our interview somebody, but it shut down. I remember that it shut down as well. They shut down like somewhere in by the fashion district, right, where they had all the lights and everything. But you know what? I was telling Tones as well last time. I'm like, man, I used to hate it when I was a kid though. Yeah, just like a little 12-year-old, the bass JBL speakers just moving it everywhere. Oh my god.
I was gonna put you to work.
Yeah, man.
You had to pay your dues though. You had to pay your dues.
You know, JBL speakers, everything.
Yeah, so it's hard.
I'd be like, oh man, it's already 1 a.m. and we're like somewhere in like South Central. You know where we're at. We're playing in the projects, man. But you know what? Now that I look back at it, man, that's the thing about like Sonidero is like they love it, man. There's nothing like they'll love it. The whole Facebook is like him with the cumbia, you know, like the Colombia,
sombrero,
yes, the Colombia sombrero. It's like they love it, and I think that's something that I take from it and I apply to their radio, and something that I've heard y'all talk about is like there has to be that love with it. Because if there isn't, then it won't last, and it's just
you don't know how many times I felt like crying and just like being like, you know, like fuck this, you know, like it could be difficult, you know, like being in music or whatever, you know, and it's just you sacrifice a lot, and yeah,
man, even just doing this, you know what I mean? Just doing this is sacrificing a lot, and man, you know, like sometime last year as well, it's like it reached the point where like this was funded by like my time working, like when I first moved back to LA, I was working at the Fashion Nova warehouse, and I had just graduated college and I was doing a few years in the Bay. I came back to nothing. I had no connections, no nothing, right? So what's the first thing I needed a job quick, had to do Fashion Nova warehouse, and like, you know, it paid well, and it helped me save up to like even help build what is here, and like even have, you know, the homies come and help me, but it reaches a point where those funds cut off, yeah. And then it's just like when you realize that fuck, like this is why people like reach out to institutions and be like, we need funds, but at the end of the fucking day, like we're gonna do it regardless. Definitely. We'll find a spot, we'll find a place, we'll do it at the park. That was an idea we came up with, like fuck it, we'll just do it at the park outside. But you know, and that's what it takes. But I want to ask y'all, like when those moments came, what did y'all keep in mind? What was the pushing force? What would y'all think about?
I always think like, damn, I'm already like in too deep, and this is just like, you know, because I've you know, neglected relationships and different things, you know, like in my life, right, where I'm like, damn, I could have been like chilling at the park, but no, I gotta be like, you know, the next day, you know, tired because I just DJ'd or whatever. I could have been with my family, or whatever, you know, and But yeah, I always think about like I guess the legacy, especially right now. I just had a daughter, and whoever's listening to this, they're gonna be like, "What? What the heck?
Recently?
Doodle's got a daughter.
Recently?
There's gonna be a cheese mail over it."
This is the reveal. This is the public reveal.
Hey, you know what? They could be like Richard TV, be like, Turbo Sonidero habla de su hija.
Nah, this is
good. I just know the thumbnail would just be like, you like
everybody like, what? Like, you're talking about Richard TV, how they always try to put like something crazy, like this person
very
got sent to jail.
Titles.
This person got beat up, and then you listen to it, and nothing happened. You know? But
yeah, this is a clip for sure though.
But yeah, now I think about like what I'm gonna leave my daughter. You know, so it's like. To me, it's a legacy. What I'm gonna leave her, you know, and I don't know. Maybe she's gonna be like, man, screw all these records. I don't want, you know, like I don't want to be carrying them. I don't want to be like, well, I don't know. But I think about like just leaving something to my daughter, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for me personally, you know, I for so much of my life I was like I didn't really. Not in a crazy way, but I lacked direction and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. You know, I had gone to art school for a little bit. I dropped out. I was working jobs here and there, and did a little bit of music writing for a few years, a couple social media jobs, nothing ever really felt like it was what I wanted to do. And then by proximity, coming to the homies, learning how to DJ, learning how to throw parties, everything that I've learned to do in the last 7 years of my life, it fit like a glove. And I was just like, all right, there's a calling here, and I'm going to see how far I go. And I feel like within the last year, really, I hit a point of no return where I just went fully in, and I said, there's no blueprint for how to make this your actual like life, but I'm gonna figure it the fuck out, because it's gonna be stressful, but it's gonna be a way better stress than the type of stress I had before, feeling like incomplacent and not knowing what I wanted to do or what I wanted to create. And now, you know, I use this word a lot, but it means a lot to me. It's like now I just feel the responsibility where like I changed the landscape of Kumbia and Kumbia events in my city, and I'm gonna hold that flag tight and keep going and go until the fucking wheels fall off, or till I find the right person to pass it to, because I want the people who continue, like I said, legacy, the people who come after us, to watch these interviews, to listen to our shit, to listen to all the Mas Exitos archives up on Dublab and everything. It's like we're leaving so much for everybody coming right behind us to learn from, and then bring their own shit to it too. So now it's like I'm gonna keep going. This is my life now. I live, sleep, breathe, eat this shit, bro. I brush my teeth. I'm in the shower. It's Kumbia. I'm digging. I'm always doing all this other type of shit. I'm always looking, watching the baile videos, the ones in New York, the ones out here, the ones in fucking Mexico, everywhere. I'm just and always like, you know, even with that Kumbia subgenre you were telling us about earlier that we weren't necessarily onto, I'm always digging to. I'm always trying to find weird shit, new shit that I don't even know about.
Yeah, man.
It's become a lifestyle that I can't live my life any other way now.
Yeah, and that's where it started from, a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'm kind of forgetting the question because you guys are talking heavy shit and making me reevaluate my life right now. But, man, family, you know what I mean? The ones who came before, who worked hard to keep my ass alive in my youth, you know what I mean? People who dealt with me, good or bad. And same family, I got a daughter, Lara, 9 years old, my wife Renee. And yeah, man, same, trying to be responsible as a person to the art, to the culture. And, you know, it's also like, well, what do you appreciate? What do you love? And, you know, I love shit like zines and videos, and whether it's punk rock shit, political stuff, whatever, something that left some kind of information that's useful for the future, right? Or may not even be useful, but is like well researched or something like that, you know? And like, anyhow, what keeps me going is to try to leave some of that, share space with friends, you know what I mean? And trying to be creative, because I think we all got to remember that these are all outlets. Like you had mentioned, for you, Kumbia is a medium that you make your art with. In time, I realized the reason why, and not only Kumbia, it's like all the genres are the things that I like. I see them in that sense, right? There are these genres, these places, these cultures that are there for you to utilize and experiment with, and to see what pops up. Not maybe everybody don't have those kind of callings or feelings, but I have that calling and that feeling every minute of my life. You know what I mean? I feel like I got to create something, whether it's an artwork, a piece of artwork, sculpture, painting, drawing, maybe even a thought, you know, it don't even have to be physical or real, you know what I mean? But for me, it's more just like a driving to continue to be creative and thoughtful, you know?
Yeah, man. I think that's a great way to end it, man. There's so much in those few words. You know what? I had a friend who once told me, like, you know, it's like there's always like this transitional point, and there's like a pivotal point, at least I felt like in my life, where he was like, you know what, like, the next thing you do, you can't fail because you came from your parents, they're working such and such, and like, you know, they know their history, and you were able to survive and go through it. So what the fuck's gonna happen? You're gonna go back to that? Okay, oh well, you've been through that, you know, so you can't fail. That's the way I think about it now. I'm like, you can't fail. If you're gonna be nasty with it, then be nasty with it, but you're gonna be eventually like nasty with it. I don't know if that makes sense. But you know what I mean? But it's like that. It's like that. It's like you're gonna go back to it, and it's like, you know what you know, just keep it pushing. But
For
yeah,
sure.
man.
Man, sometimes I can even think about it like going back to something like that sounds freeing also.
Yeah.
It sounds super liberating. You know, as you say that, I'm like, damn, just might have to try that. You know, that
Yeah.
sounds kind of nice. You know what I mean? Mixing it up or something, you know?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Hey, man, thank y'all so much for coming through. I
Yeah, no,
appreciate
you,
your
brother.
time.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, hell yeah. Appreciate y'all. And I'm excited to hear what's coming this year. I know there's a lot coming this year. And
Yeah, definitely.
and we can't wait to not only, you know, retweet and repost y'all, but also making sure that we platform and highlight it as well as
Yeah.
it comes out. So I appreciate y'all for coming
Thank
through.
Oh yeah.
Man,
Thank
thanks
you.
for having us and congrats on the show. Seeing the moves you're making and keep it up, man. Thanks to y'all. Peace.
Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Yep. Late.